Hey everybody, welcome back to the Good Enough Guy Crafts channel with Mr. Shannon. Today we're going to be doing something very simple. I have a request to make a catch-all tray for someone. Basically, I've already got the boards figured out. So I made these boards a long time ago out of multiple strips of different types of wood. So they wanted one of these turned into a tray for like keys and wallet and stuff like that as they come into the house at the front door. So all I'm gonna do, I've measured it. They wanted 12 by 14, and the board I had available was just about 0.8 inches thick. So what I've got to do is I've got to cut a whole bunch of that wood out without going all the way through. So I'm going to cut roughly 0.53 inches, leaving about a quarter of an inch of material on the underside and a quarter-inch rim around the whole thing. So let's check it out. There's the board that I've selected. They wanted the multiple woods, and I've got 1/4 inch upcut spiral bit that we're going to start from the bottom left corner, and it's essentially just going to go around and around and hog out a bunch of material from the middle. I've already cut it to size. It's clamped down. We're ready to go.
And here we go, guys. So these boards I made a good while back. They're made out of American mahogany that I cut down into strips from full-size logs. There's about 3 or 4 different types of pine in here, a cedar strip here and there, and I'm very careful with how much of the walnut I use. A good while back I purchased several board feet of walnut for a very good price. It was reclaimed out of an old barn up north, and this gentleman didn't have anywhere to store it, so I use it very sparingly in some of my projects. Now a lot of people are like, oh, this would make a very fine cutting board. Unfortunately, there's a lot of pine and cedar, which is very soft. It would not work as a cutting board. Once I get a hold of some better woods, I will start making cutting boards in the future. For now, I use these for all kinds of different projects, but mostly my biggest request is catch-all trays.
Now I'm going to let it run. It should take about 3 hours.
So my program tells me this is going to take 3 hours to carve. I'm going to speed it up to about 600% here for a bit. There it is. And what's going to happen is my camera got overheated a couple of times and stopped at random points. So I don't have the full 3 hours of footage. Not that anybody wants to watch 3 hours of this thing carve 1/10 of an inch off each pass. So I've sped it up. I've cut some out to shorten the video from 3 hours to 30 minutes. Enjoy. So first pass is nearly done. What I wanted to do was get approximately 1/4 inch frame around the catch-all tray. So see, there it is. Now, of course, my measurements are never perfect, so one side is a little bit thicker than the other side, but you know what? For our purposes, this is really good enough. You'll notice mostly on the left and right side where there's like these curlies of wood bits and sawdust stuck to the edge. That's because the bit I'm using is a little bit old and doesn't have the sharpness that we're looking for. Also, that is an upcut bit, which means the blade carves upward rather than downward. I probably would have a much better, cleaner carve as it's going if I had a down cut bit. Here we go again. There's the time jump. I bet this time we're getting really close to the end of the carve. And here it is, getting to the end. It's the last pass.
There you have it, folks. We've carved this 0.53 inches deep on a 0.78 inch thick piece of wood, leaving us about a 1/4 inch underneath the base here, and just about a 1/2 inch lip. Now the camera kept shutting off because it was getting hot. I'm using one of my old cell phones, so it does not like to be run this much. So whatever. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to get this off here. We're going to sand up the inside and the edges, and then we're going to take it over for epoxy and some design work. I only have a few days to get this done. Let's take a look. Let's get it out, all this sawdust.
Trying to twist these clamps with my bad left hand is really hard to do.
I have no idea how much footage missed recording. I guess we'll see that at the back end. So here you go. So we're gonna sand off all this rough stuff. There's the back side. Nice little catch-all tray. 1/4 inch thick, 1/4 inch on the sides. Good to go. And next you see it, it'll already be sanded and ready for epoxy. All right, here we go with the special request tray. client wants a catch-all tray with Death Stars in the corner and Darth Vader in the middle. Now the Geek Goddess has already put a layer of epoxy down and it is cured. Now she's going to put on and shiny. She's going to put the decals on, which she has already created. And then put another layer of epoxy over top.
We just love how this epoxy lays in this tray and gives the wood a very nice wet look. Really makes the colors of the wood and the grains pop.
So we're layering the black over the shiny holographic. We don't want the vinyl decal to float up when we put new epoxy on top of it. So they have to make sure they're adhered to the previous layer of epoxy very, very well.
Hear that sound?
Yeah.
Got an air bubble. Right. I'll go with it. We'll fix it after.
Best way to get the air bubbles out is to poke them with a little sharp instrument like this pick.
This is the Death Star. It's made out of metal. Gives it character. Alright. Now, I'm going to need a fresh piece of this.
Look at that.
Now, I need to off.
Alright, so we spared you guys the mixing of the epoxy since that takes forever. And I didn't want to edit it, so there you go. Epoxy is mixed, it's clear. We're adding no sparkles or any color, it's just perfectly clear. And here we go with the protection coat.
It's so cool to watch this stuff flow. Kind of satisfying, actually.
So it's not really as much as it looks.
Yeah. So we're going to get a nice even coat over the whole thing, and then it will self-level.
So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Epoxy only flows where it's already been. So we got to manually spread it around so it'll flow in all the nooks and crannies and cover the entire piece nice and evenly. Once that is done, it will self-level. And that all depends on whether or not the piece is level, which you're going to see a little mistake here in a moment. I caused a little bit of a mess. There it is. I splashed it. So she needed that level to make sure that the piece is perfectly flat, which she will be accounting for here in a moment. There it is, nice and level.
So you happy with it?
Yep.
All right, let me get in on it. Can you?
Well, I'm waiting for the micro bubbles to come up so I can do one more pass.
Okay.
Black always looks so perfect under epoxy. The chrome doesn't, but it doesn't matter about the bubbles. Like I said, it's a Death Star.
Yep.
Ideally, I probably should have put the chrome down on its own very carefully and then put the black on it.
Right.
Chrome is notoriously difficult to work with. I love this epoxy though. All the micro bubbles come out so easy. Crystal clear.
Let's talk about the epoxy. This is it right here, right?
Yep. The top. Oh, you're gonna get epoxy all over your hands.
Oh, okay. Beast Bond resin, very inexpensive, 2-part. So this is a half-gallon A and half-gallons of B. So 1 gallon is how much?
$50, I think.
$50 for a 1
$60.
gallon. $60 for a gallon kit of epoxy that cures very, very well.
Incredibly inexpensive, but the stuff has a glass-like finish, super durable, heat safe up to 500 degrees.
And food grade safe, right?
Yep, FDA compliant. I see a few more little micro bubbles. I couldn't get a good
Gonna get to see when some of these micro bubbles pop here in a moment. Look at that. Heat blasts them right out.
We'll give it a few more seconds and I'll give it one more. You don't want to do too much at once and overheat your epoxy.
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna have to sand this top ledge and then over here because the epoxy splashed.
Oops, my bad.
Oh yeah, I can see a bunch more micro bubbles happening right here.
We're gonna slow it down and watch those bubbles pop again right after she picks out a couple of things.
Got that bubble out. Need a napkin, please. That bubble is just like stuck to the vinyl there. And just the nature of my shed, customer requested no glitter, but they're getting a few pieces anyways.
An errant piece of glitter is inevitable.
Oh, it's starting raining again. It sure did. Alright, that's good enough.
All right. Let's get a good picture of this. There we go. Glass-like finish. You can see the reflection of the lights in it. It's beautiful. So this rainbow effect is going to depend on what angle you're looking at it. Otherwise, it should be like a holographic silver.
Guys, thanks for watching the Good Enough to Guy Crafts channel. If you'd be kind enough to like and comment on our channels, follow us, share with your friends. We're on the Facebook, the YouTubes, Instagram, and TikTok when it's working. Greatly appreciate you hanging out with us.